I know Ibu Monica has a flight to catch. We've kept her on hold for all this while. Before we start this morning, I'd just like to, on behalf of my co-panelists and on behalf of MMA Global Indonesia and everyone here today, send our heartfelt condolences to Pa Eddie Kusnadi, who lost his father yesterday. And we're really sad to hear the terrible news. Pa Sutanto was supposed to be part of the panel, and he very sweetly, Ibu Monica, who has a flight to catch, but she is here, so thank you, Ibu. But yes, it's the deepest loss, and heartfelt condolences to Pa Eddie and the entire MTech family. I'm so happy to see both of you here. Terima kasih, thank you. And
pleasure to be here.
Just to save Ibu Monica's time from the introduction, yes. I just want to give a little bit of background from the topic in the description, right? So as we all know, Indonesia's media investment landscape is drastically evolving. It's constantly changing with the speed that it is. And we're seeing a lot of local as well as foreign investments happening within Indonesia, which is what we see across even Vietnam or Thailand or Korea, but Indonesia somehow uniquely has its own kind of magnet and pull. So I would like to, ask the two of you, feel free, whoever wants to answer the question first, but in your opinion, why do you think Indonesia is being seen as this ripe market for investors to look into, and what is the role of media according to you in all of this?
So I think right now when we look at the investment landscape, it is becoming quite challenging, right? As more than before. However, though, when you look at Indonesia, the potential is still very enormous, right? We have about, I think, 200 million people on the internet, and that makes the market very, very big in size. At VIDIO, we are very, very bullish with this situation. And I think we are also in a very unique position whereby we're the only local OTT that is actually #1 in its local market. Because if you look at the Southeast Asia market, the #1 OTT would be global players, right? Be it Netflix, Disney, or others. So with this position, I think it creates a unique situation for us because the studios, global studios, are also coming into the Southeast Asian market, and as I mentioned earlier, in most markets they are actually in #1 position. But due to current situation, they have to rethink and reinvent the way they come into this market, and we see that it's a very, very huge potential for VIDIO to be their local partner for Indonesia. And we say this because for right now we are the #1 OTT in terms of MAU, streaming consumption. We're #1 in terms of entertainment in Android. And I think we are also the driver of the OTT business in the region. Our growth is the one that is driving the Southeast Asia growth. We're the #1 OTT in terms of growth. And our local content actually tops the Southeast Asia local content. So this paired with our technology capability, which is all local engineers with very, very fast agility, and our strength in terms of our local content as well as sports content, this is what makes us to be seen by the global studios as very, very viable partners for Indonesia. Yeah.
Very interesting, very interesting. From an investment point of view, right? Because of course you're one of the biggest as well in Indonesia and looking at local and foreign investments. What is your take on it? Why do you think Indonesia is so highlighted as a market in Asia?
And we always been highlighted. I mean, for a very specific reason, we are the largest country in Southeast Asia, so the largest market, emerging, stable politics, economy stable, right? And I think a lot of youth. So our digital transformations really fast. We adapt faster. I mean, a lot of us remember BlackBerry, remember, you know, and so whatever comes in, we adapt really fast. So it's always been seen as a ripe market, and you know, not only in media, but the whole digital industry is supported by media, because people go online and they do transact, but most of the time they consume content, right? So I think investors has been looking at Indonesia since the year 2000s, but it all started with like Tokopedia and 100 million in 2014 at the kick off the new wave, and all the way like our own GDP Blibli, like Beli, was just went IPO in 8 November this week. So you know, it calls to the side where now I think it's no longer about only chasing which one's gonna grow, but it's stabilizing. Like what you mentioned, we have 200 million plus. The internet penetration, because of the pandemic, is now, you know, tipping point is over. So you have no choice. Used to be for marketers, you'll talk about digital marketing, non-digital marketing. If you're still thinking that way, you are obsolete. You cannot separate the two now. So yeah, that's how I think we take a look at it. And if we're gonna add something though, it is challenging this year because of the macroeconomics, geopolitics, and things for investments. But it's actually quite good because things are now normalized. Well, I wouldn't say normalized. That investors starts to look at fundamentals, right? Used to be you chase growth and you look at profitability later, but now I guess people start to think more, you know, more in a fundamental way, and then they build instead of just go on speculation. So yes, it is challenging, but at the same time, liquidity is there. So investors are still looking for stuff, but they're just being more careful, and the companies that can actually build and show results will be the one who's going to win. Yeah.
I love that thought, and I'm with you on that, which also actually brings me to my next question, where you interestingly mentioned that you can't differentiate the traditional versus the digitized modern media, right? Especially in MMA, I think this conversation happens a lot. But as an industry body, I think it is more, it's about finding ways to integrate and to kind of build on it together, right? As in just looking at the overall picture. So with your, I think this is, I'll start with Ibu Monika. With your extensive expertise in the media landscape, how do you perceive the differences or the similarities? Maybe just one or two key difference or similarities between, you know, the traditional media companies versus the newer and the traditional modern media companies.
Yeah, Indonesia is still majority FTA. FTA is still very, very strong, right? With people's watching TV like over 3 hours in a day. So this obviously creates a very, very good opportunity for advertisers, especially those who are looking for awareness. However, though, with the emergence of OTT, what we see is that OTT is adding to this media landscape. So instead of it taking away viewership, but what we have seen is that it is actually adding and complementing to the media, right? So with the combination of FTA as well as OTT, for example, we see higher reach, we see higher engagement, and we also see higher watch duration, which is definitely very, very valuable for advertisers. And I think the similarities for Indonesia especially, be it FTA or OTT, the viewers are still looking for local content. So local content is still key, local content is still king.
Yeah. I guess also because Indonesia has so many provinces, right? It's not just the first-tier cities. You're looking at Indonesia as like a combination of all of the provinces that we have. So yes. On that note, Anthony, I'm just thinking, you know, I mean, we're aware that GDP is very sharp and very crisp in making the choices in what to invest or how to invest.
We try to. We hope so.
So
not always.
So well, I think always, and that's what makes you stand out, right? So I'm just thinking, what does GDP strongly? I mean, why do you invest in certain media companies? Not as in the why, but can you share with us the 3 key prospects or perspectives that you have in your mind before you actually take the plunge? Of course, you had mentioned a few points earlier.
Yes,
I understand
yes,
those few
yes.
points. But this is, I'm not asking you to spill your secrets, but maybe I share with us.
Happy
you
to
know,
just share a bit of
the intent. Yes.
So GDP Venture is not a VC, right? We are not a fund manager. We call ourselves venture builder. So wherever even when we invest, we like to work together with our funders and become their partners and build a venture. And entertainment and media. So not only media, we combine them, E&M, right? Entertainment and media. It's one of our strength pillar, so-called, because we do have a lot of companies. We have investments all the way from news like Kumpara, Narasi, IDN Group, all the way to Cinema Studios, which is movie studios, working with VIDIO as well. We have game studios, so entertainment media, and then we have obviously commerce as another pillar, like Blibli, Ticket, and whatnot. And the last one is B2B solutions, right? So back to media, I think there are two, not three, maybe two, the reasons why. I would say the why first. When we started, and we think that our group itself is also a big advertiser. We are a big spender online, right? And we look at how the landscape changes to digital. We look at how things are being controlled. So we think that we do see the waves move there. So that's the business pool, so-called. We know that digital media is going to be the future. Digital media is going to be the way people consume media going to change. Like I said, digital or non-digital is going to be hybrid, all the same thing. That is one thing that why we start to invest in. And when we invest in the media, back to the choice, we will love to back up the founders, the company that actually will have the same vision to build Indonesia, like local content, and then to guard Indonesia, because we do believe that media plays a big role in how people think, how people act, how people consume stuff, and in all the way that indirectly or directly could actually help grow Indonesia. So that is one thing that we will try to back up. That's why you can see like Kumparan, Idea, Narasi. It's very specific kind of thing. It's not like only totally mass media, but it's more build up. That's one thing. So we look at founders like that. The other thing is obviously we would like to make sure that the investments or the again, because we also have the advertisers part, we want to make sure that we kind of like have the touch on the market and make sure that the money spent is also effective indirectly. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you for sharing. I was wondering what you would say for these 2 points, but thank you. That was interesting. But I liked when you touched upon the entertainment industry, the sports industry, and putting Indonesia in a global landscape that way. I think when I look back at 2018 and we hosted the Asian Games, and now we're hosting the B20 and G20. I think where Indonesia is at this point, we're in a very, very interesting space. And maybe Ibu Monika first. Where do you see the future of media from a business point of view as we enter 2023, with everything that's going on, with all this, the global shift that's happening and where we are at the moment? Where do you think? I mean, this is the business point of view. It is a tricky question, but that's me. I'm also very interested in how you're going to look ahead.
I think it's going to be very, very interesting. This whole combination, especially for Indonesia, right, between traditional media and digital media, and how everything comes together. I think when we look at video, for example, we really focused on how we can really provide the best content so that our advertisers can benefit from it, in terms of making sure that we have the best local content. And we also put in a lot of, for example, engagement tools like gamification, like quizzes, polling, and things like that. Because I think in the future it's becoming more and more blur between, and media is becoming much more fluid. So it's no longer about the pre-roll, right? But it's also what pre-roll, right? So it's not only about pre-roll, but it's about how can you best reach your consumers, right? And so that's why on video we make it very, very fluid. You can reach them from gaming, from quizzes, from polling, from interactive content, interactive streaming, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
But you still didn't touch upon my business point of view, but I will leave you to that. Thank you, Ibu, thank you. Bapa, here's a question for you. This is shifting a little bit because I was doing a bit of research about you a little bit earlier, and you seem to be fascinated with this whole new machine learning, AI, blockchain Web 3.0 that you're looking into. So I wanted to actually ask you, you know, if you're looking at all of this, what's the idea behind this intent, and how come the focus is so much as GDP Ventures in this sector?
Well, first, we are not focusing only on there, but as investors, obviously, what investor does, one of the things that we try to do is look at the future, right? And then, you know, when AI and machine learning and now Web3, obviously we need to learn from it. But I think Web3 itself is very interesting discussions for us in the industry on marketing and media. You know, back to MONIKA's comment about business, you know, if we are publishers, media, monetization revenue is one of the key challenge, right? I mean, it's been challenged left and right. People try every kind of way to do it, and in the same time, the advertisers do want to actually support us, but they also look for transparency, clarity, brand safety, and whatnot. So Web3 is kind of like promising that thing, where, you know, they will say that with a certain aspect of blockchain, they'll be able to create a safe community, right? You know, a few promises are there. The technology is there, but obviously the adaptation is not mainstream. But we believe that we see it in our front face is social media, actually. How on the traditional media all being kind of like disrupted or being kind of like competition from the social media, even like video. To some extent, YouTube is your competitor, right? And they are like social media, right? Because people just post their content there. So to some extent, Web3 kind of like enables those things, but without the central body. You know what I mean? So it's interesting to see how, if in the future, where nowadays you look at people media, right? TikTok, influencers, you like those people media. How do you make these people media incentivize using blockchain technology? And what does it mean for marketers? What does it mean for advertisers? So those are one of the things that we're looking at in that sense. And then there's also some promises of making brand safety. And then what Buira mentioned about metaverse is how maybe the brand's gonna, you know, interact. If the future media, if video is going to have your own metaverse, you already have one in your group, I know, but, you know, then you have the whole different interaction. Then will it drive more engagement? Will it drive more effective advertising? So those are all the things that we're looking at. You know, again, being investor and also being industry player, because we are not only, like I said, not only investing, but we also operate. And we are buyer as well, so we want to make sure things are.
You know, that I agree with you, because even for us in MMA, I think when we did our modern marketing talk middle of this year, we touched upon the similar topics of blockchain, ad fraud, brand safety, metaverse, and even for Smarties, we in fact have included Web 3.0 as one of our categories. So of course, that is the future of, you know, as we say, the digitized world that we are in. But a closing question, because Ibu, I don't want you to miss your flight. I really, really appreciate your time here, and I want you to really make it for your B20 tomorrow. But this is a closing question for both of you. How does the growth of the media and investment ecosystem impact the overall economy in Indonesia, especially now when everyone's attention is in this market? Any one of you? Hello. Just one last question. Hi. No, this is the last question.
The way we looked at media investment, right? So, as I said, I think the way we look at it now with the situation in the OTT industry, right? We believe that a lot more foreign studios will come into Indonesia, looking for local partners. So for us, our focus is more about how can we strengthen our subscriber base, and not only getting the growth of the subscriber, but also getting the quality subscribers, right? The subscribers that are actually very, very sticky to our platform. And for us, it's also about making our original production better and executing them better as well. So this year we made 37 titles, and we've had you know, better success versus last year. But next year, what we want to do is to make it even more consistent, to create content that really resonates to local Indonesian watchers. And by doing so, I think it's also impacting the film industry, right, of Indonesia, which is, I think now is like really like flourishing again, which is fantastic.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And I think in all, right, with the growth of, you know, even like OTT and in my case and stuff like that, it's also educating the consumer into this habit of subscribing, which is also it's really is a completely different ways of consuming content, right? But we believe that this is not only something that is being educated by the OTT business, it's also something that's being educated by other tech players in the market. And with this, it's then creates, I think, more sustainability, right? And people will then get used to this idea of subscribing, creating more sustainability, and it is then can open doors to more, you know, different kinds of, you know, transactions and more different kinds of, I think, business model, right? Yeah.
No, I'm with you on that. I mean, because Patanto is also part of the board, right? And he shares all the things that, you know, the entire organization is working towards, and how this is, you know, everything, as you said, everything is a domino effect. Everything connects and reconnects with other dots. So very insightful. Thank you, Ibu, for sharing that with us. Your point of view before they switch on. Before they switch off my mic.
Just to
Ibu,
add on it.
Ibu Shanti, udah waktunya.
Yeah, udah waktunya.
It's okay.
2 minutes.
But, all yours.
But like what I said earlier, is media plays a central role. One of the central role in, you know, how the industry, it connects how people think, and now with content commerce, you know, content commerce community, right? Content media owns the community, and then they activate the community to purchase commerce. So all of those things will directly help build industry in terms of transactions. But at the same time, in the mindset, it's important. That's why for advertisers and publishers, publishers need to be very, very responsible. You need to be responsible on your content. You need to be responsible on who you push. And I hope the advertisers also shift from looking for reach, awareness, and don't care about the quality. Now that we have data, we have a lot of tools and technology that enables you to actually, you know, buy audience and whatnot. I think it's also time for you to start activate those community engagement and start to support the media that is responsible, so that the media that is responsible can help the whole industry. I think that's my, yeah.
I love it. I love it. Thank you everyone. Thank you, Ibu Monika. Thank you, Papa. Thank you. Yeah, great. Thanks.
Thank you very much.